First item of business, just to let you know, the meeting is being recorded for the purposes of collecting minutes. At this time, is there any public comment? Hearing none. Jim, I think there was an item of business we wanted to insert in there before the election of the chair and vice chair.
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that our two director positions that expired on December 31st have been reappointed. So Alan Ishler was reappointed as our farmer director with his term expiring December 31st, 2024. And Steve Dersham was reappointed as our commissioner director with his term expiring December 31st, 2021.
Okay, and with that, then we can move on to the election of the chair and the vice chair. And for that, Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep, very good. So we need to elect a chair and a vice chair of the board for 2021. So let's start with chairman. I will open the floor to nominations for chairman. Do any of the directors have a nomination for chairman?
Jim Walliger nominate Rob Shannon.
Okay, we have a nomination for Rob Shannon as chairman. Are there any other nominations?
That has to be seconded. I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other nominations or discussion? Okay, hearing none. We'll have a vote. All those in favor of Rob Shannon as chairman, say aye.
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 Okay, I think we need a majority. We had 2 aye votes there.
Jim Walliger, aye.
Okay.
Am I allowed to vote on this?
I'm sure you're allowed, Rob.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, I'm not sure about that. Are there any opposed? Okay, hearing none. The motion carries. Rob Shannon is elected as our chairman.
Okay, you want me to take this back over, Jim?
Well, let's do vice chair. We need
yeah.
a nomination for vice chair person.
I'll nominate Alan Ishler.
Okay, there's a nomination for Alan Ishler. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it was nominated and seconded. Is there any additional nominations or any discussion? Okay, hearing none. The motion's been made and seconded, and we will have a vote. All those in favor of Alan Ishler as vice chair, please say aye.
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 Jim Walliger, aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, motion carries. Alan Ishler is elected vice chair.
Okay, we can move on to.
That I will turn things back over to you, Rob, as chairperson.
Thanks, Jim. We can move on to item 4, which is the appointment of the board secretary treasurer and the finance committee chair. And the secretary treasurer is Brandy. And the finance committee chair has been Tom Bolden historically. Is there a motion to approve those two appointments?
I'll move that.
And is there a second?
Second.
That was-
Second.
Okay, we have a second.
Jim Walliger, second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of appointing Brandy as Board Secretary Treasurer and Tom Bolden as Finance Committee Chair, say aye.
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 Jim Walliger, aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Unanimously. And now we can move on to the appointment of the associate directors. And our current associate directors are Don Federoff, Martin Melville, and Lori Hartle. Do I hear a motion to reappoint those three as associate directors for 2021?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Say that again. Is there a second?
Second.
That motion? Okay, thank you. All those in favor of reappointing Don Federoff, Martin Melville, and Lori Hartle as associate directors for the upcoming year, the current year, 2021, say aye.
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 Rob, who seconded that?
I think it was Matt.
Matt? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, the ayes have it. We can move on to the approval of the December 2nd minutes, which you should have before you. Do we have a motion to approve the December 2nd, 2020 minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the December minutes. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we have the ayes unanimously approving the December minutes. So we can move on to the payment of the bills and the treasurer's report. Randy,
Okay, so the report is going to go from November 26th to December 31st of 2020. Operating expenses total $33,552.66. Operating account income and revenue total $20,838.10. And the operating expense account balance as of 12/31/2020 was $526,625.06.
we have a motion to approve the December invoices and file the treasurer's report for audit.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Jim, we can move on to correspondence. Any correspondence this month?
Yes, I do have a few pieces here. First of all, we sent a letter to Representative Glenn Thompson, congratulating him on his recent appointment as Republican leader of the House Agricultural Committee. Next item of correspondence, we got a letter from Katie Cassidy at the Wildlife Leadership Academy. This is an academy that enriches teens and empowers them to become certified conservation ambassadors through a 5-day residential summer field school. And they are looking for motivated students between the ages of 14 to 17 to join this program. So they said if we know of any students that would benefit, that we can nominate them. So I just wanted to put that out for information if anyone happens to know someone that might be interested. And I have one last item of correspondence. It's a letter. We received an email from Sean Furjanic of the DEP Bureau of Clean Water. And he sent us a letter that was sent to the Pennsylvania Forest Products Association concerning E&S review issues. The letter was from Patrick McDonald, the Secretary of DEP. It's kind of important, and it's an issue that we've discussed periodically. And it's a lengthy letter, but I couldn't come up with a good way to paraphrase it. So I'm going to read this letter mostly in its entirety, if that's okay, Rob.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to take a few minutes, but like I said, it's kind of an important issue. Like I said, this was sent from DEP to the PA Forest Products Association. We are in receipt of your letter dated July 10th, 2020, which describes the Pennsylvania Forest Products Association concern for municipal requirements related to E&S control plans for timber harvesting. Specifically, the letter notes the PFPA's understanding that many municipalities across the state attempt to require county conservation district approval of E&S plans for timber harvesting in instances where county conservation district approval is not required under the Chapter 102 regulations, and the impacts to timber harvesting projects in terms of cost and time delays may result. Among other things, your letter requests the DEP provide on this issue to the conservation districts to facilitate statewide consistency on this issue. We are aware of this issue and hope that we can provide clarity and consistency in the implementation of Chapter 102. As you identify in your letter, there are challenges in creating a one-size-fits-all approach to this issue because every case is unique. Further, the process for review of municipal ordinances under Act 38 of 2005, known as ACRE, is under the purview of the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General, not DEP. And the ACRE law does not affect the requirements of Chapter 102. However, we have developed the following guidance for the County Conservation District staff, which we hope provides clarity to the districts and the regulated community. The guidance is as follows. Issue, DEP has received many questions regarding when and how a conservation district can and should review E&S control plans for timber harvesting activities involving less than 25 acres of earth disturbance. Such activities do not require a permit under Chapter 102. To clarify an issue that has come up recently regarding the Agricultural Communities and Rural Environment Law, ACRE, the ACRE law does not modify or eliminate any requirements under Chapter 102. Districts should continue to perform all of their delegated duties under Chapter 102, and all persons proposing or conducting timber harvesting activities must comply with all applicable requirements of Chapter 102. The ACRE law may prohibit a municipality from enacting a local ordinance imposing certain requirements, such as E&S plan reviews, beyond those required by Chapter 102. But that is a determination for the municipality to make based on the information provided by the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General. Chapter 102 does not, what Chapter 102 does and does not require. Chapter 102 requires any person proposing to conduct timber harvesting activities resulting in a total earth disturbance of 5,000 square feet or more to develop and implement a written E&S plan. So long as the permit is not required, Chapter 102 generally does not require the person proposing the earth disturbance to submit their E&S plan to DEP. or the district for review prior to commencing their earth disturbance. The E&S plan must be available for review during an inspection and can be requested for review by DEP or the district based upon a complaint or investigation. Additionally, submission of an E&S plan may be required to qualify for a general permit under Chapter 105. The acre law does not eliminate or modify any Chapter 105 requirements. So landowners / operators seeking to qualify under a Chapter 105 general permit must meet all applicable regulatory requirements and permit conditions. In an effort to force E&S plan review prior to earth disturbance, some municipalities have adopted ordinances requiring that a landowner or operator submit an E&S plan to the district for review and approval prior to the municipality issuing its own permit, regardless of the size of earth disturbance. The Pennsylvania Attorney General has issued letters to some municipalities stating that an ordinance requiring the landowner or operator to submit an E&S plan to a district for review when not otherwise required by Chapter 102 violates the acre law. The Attorney General's letters have, however, indicated that no acre violation would occur if a municipality requested a copy of the E&S plan and submitted the plan to a district at the municipality's sole cost. And there's some other reminders here, but that's kind of the gist of the letter. I know we've talked in the past about requirements for timber harvesting and submission of E&S plans. So I wanted to make sure to point this issue out. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any municipality in Center County that has an ordinance like this, but it does come up from time to time. So apologize for the lengthy letter.
Any questions for Jim on that issue? Okay, any other correspondence, Jim?
No, that's it for correspondence.
Okay, so we can move on to old business, the first of which is the watershed implementation plan.
Actually, Rob, if you don't mind switching those around, if we could do item B first.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I wanted to introduce our new resource conservation coordinator. As the board's aware, we've been in the hiring process for our vacant resource conservation coordinator 1 position. That has been completed, and we have brought on board Dan Wiestock. Dan's first day was Monday, so he just started with us recently. And Dan, if I could maybe ask you just to briefly introduce yourself to the board.
Yes, so hi everybody. As Jim mentioned, I'm Dan Wiestock. I just started on Monday in the Resource Conservation Coordinator 1 position. So just a little background on myself. I graduated from the URM program at Penn State just in May, and then I went down to work with Resource Environmental Solutions based in Washington County. And we actually did a lot of stream work, basically a lot of offsetting credits for construction work, pipeline installations, and PennDOT projects and stuff like that. So I do have a history of E&S control installation. So I'm hoping to bring that on board and have a field kind of input into the regulatory side of things. So.
Welcome aboard, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay. Jim, I guess we can move on to item B, which is now the WIP update.
Yes. There has been as indicated there, a draft cap document that has been released and out for public comment. Allison has been working on this over the last month or so. And Allison, if I could ask you to give us a brief update on that process.
Absolutely. So this week, the draft CAP, which is the countywide action plan, is going to be submitted to DEP. Just so that it can be displayed on their website in the same as the other tier 1 and tier 2 counties for their draft plans. It is a living document and it is not regulatory. So any changes that we will receive and further comments will be able to be updated on the DEP website as well. And we previously had 2 comment period sessions, one specifically for Center Region MS4s and another one that was open to public and engaged stakeholders. Both went really well and we got a lot of great comments. As per the CAP planning, we're now thinking of moving into the implementation stage. And so far, I've contacted 7 farmers just via an outreach letter that were identified by a farmer, Jim Brubaker himself.
Okay. Thanks, Ally. Any questions for Ally on the countywide action plan or the WIP in general? Okay, hearing none. Thanks. Any other old business, Jim?
No, that's it for old business.
All right, we can move on to item 10, new business. So there's a slew of actionable items there. The first of which is the 2021 operating expense account budget. Brandy, do you want to walk us through that briefly? Or Jim?
Yep, go ahead, Brandy.
Okay, so this looks similar to what has been presented in the past since I've been here. We start out with the operating account balance in the checkbook as of 1/1/21, which is $526,625.06. And then what happens is we back out the obligated funds, and those are monies that are in the account, in the operating account, or have been spent out of the operating account. Notice that there are 2 negative numbers there, and those are the monies that have been spent but have not been received. The positive numbers are the monies that are sitting in the operating account, kind of considered as restricted funds, and that will be spent. Takes us down to a balance of $268,752.65. Our working capital has been spent, so we're adding that back in at the end of the year. That's kind of our formula. If it's out in expenses during the 2020 year, we have to add them back in on the 2021 year. And then the county subsidy that we will be receiving for the full year of $15,000, and we receive that on a monthly basis, broken out. We go down to the operating expense, and this is just the tentative budget. And these categories somewhat stayed in line with previous years. I think the past 2 years, and Bob really worked on these categories. What we did adjust is, I believe, the last few categories, the vehicle replacement and the reserve account. So that's what's been adjusted. And then again, the working capital comes into play of that. So we balance out with the revenue and the expense. Any questions with the expense account budget?
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the 2021 operating expense account budget?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions for Brandy? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. We can move on to item B, which should be the next page in your packet, which is the 2021 goals and objectives. Jim.
Yep. I think everyone received a copy of the draft goals and objectives and hopefully had a chance to look over them. Prior to sending them out, I made a few adjustments and I also sought out staff input. So I think maybe the most efficient way to handle this, Rob, is I can highlight some of the changes I made, and I have a few additions that the staff recommended since this was sent out, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. In the first section, ENS control program, I added number 2, referencing the new e-permitting program that is set to be released in a week or so here. And there were a few staff recommendations under number 5. It's recommended that we change the term all regulated earth moving activities to active earth moving activities. And instead of referencing, all activities in the county, change that to a reference to the DEP guidelines in our delegation agreement. So it would read, strive for adequate site inspections of active earth moving activities as per DEP guidelines in our delegation agreement. There was a thought that we would want to move item number 12 to a different section, perhaps section 3, dealing with public relations. 12 is a reference to making available mining applications for the public. I think DEP Mining sends us applications that are out for public comment, and we just serve as a repository for the public if they want to come in and look at those. So we'll move that to section 3, and then add an item just to kind of summarize some things. And I'm proposing the wording to be to provide technical assistance and guidance to all members of the public for the 102 NPDES and Chapter 105 programs. And that's it for the ENS section. Under section 3, again, a proposal to move that previous item. And also under number 8 in that section, sponsor the annual seedling sale and make the addition of and or other fundraising efforts for outreach / education scholarship programs. Just make that a little bit more broad there. And that was it for the changes. The only other thing that I was thinking, Rob, is we may want to add reference to the WIP somewhere in here.
Yeah, it would seem to me that under item 6 would be the most appropriate place to do that.
Yeah, agreed. Any thoughts on how we want to word that?
Something like continue to participate in watershed implementation planning and implementation, for that matter, because we're moving into the implementation phase now. Something like that.
Did you repeat that last part, Rob? Continue to participate in the watershed implementation plan process.
And its ultimate implementation. And I'm open to suggestion there if there's other language that others want to offer.
Yeah, Allie and Justin have both been working on that. Does that sound reasonable to you guys, or any other suggestions?
Sounds good to me.
That sounds good.
Tom, was that you? Tom Bolden?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, welcome, Tom.
Welcome, Tom.
I assume you had some trouble getting logged on there?
Yes, I did. It must have been a secure site I was on.
Well, we're glad you finally made it here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add that as stated. And I'm open to any directors' comments or suggestions on anything else in the goals and objectives.
And just as background, I mean, we review these from year to year, and they typically don't change much from year to year because we do pretty much the same things with some minor tweaking as we're currently doing. So are there any other suggestions from the board or staff? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the 2021 goals and objectives as amended?
Tom, so move.
Motion, is there a second? That was a second. Well, let's go. Is there a second?
Second.
I guess it was a second from Matt. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Rob, who was that?
Second was from Matt,
Okay, thank you.
as far as I can tell.
Yes, that was me.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Okay, all those in favor of approving the 2021 goals and objectives, say aye.
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 Item C is the next half dozen or so are a series of annual dues that we typically pay. Item C are the National Association of Conservation District dues, which are $775, same as 2021. Is there a motion to approve the dues for NACD?
Tom, so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second by Mike. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of approving the 2021 dues for NACD, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Next item are the 2021 Pennsylvania Association of Conservation District dues, which are $2,340 this year, the same as last year, but increasing slightly from 2019. Is there a motion to approve the 2021 PACD dues?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike. Is there a second?
Tom, second.
Second by Tom. Any questions about the PACD dues? All right, all those in favor of paying the 2021 PACD dues, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item is the Pennsylvania Envirothon donation request. Last year's donation was $700. Is there a motion to approve same or a different amount for 2021?
Tom, so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Tom, I assume that's for the same
Yes,
amount? Okay,
yes.
we have a motion to donate $700 for the Pennsylvania Envirothon, which most of you know we've been pretty active in over the years. Is there a second? Not sure if Matt is trying to make a second. Is there anyone else who would like to second that motion?
I can second that.
Thanks, Mike.
Jim Walliger, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the Envirothon donation. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item is the Southwest Project grass dues. Membership dues are $200, the same as last year. Is there a motion to approve those, the payment of those dues?
I'll make
Tom,
that
so
motion.
move. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Mike's
Tom,
made,
second.
Tom has seconded. Any questions related to the project grass dues? All those in favor of approving those dues, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Next item is the 2020 audit engagement letter. Jim, you want to take over with this one?
Actually, I'm going to ask Brandy to,
Andy?
So the board, we're asking the board to consider the audit engagement letter from Baker Tilly. And they are the auditing company that has done our past two audits to conduct the 2020. The 2019 audit quote was between 25 and 2,700. We ended up paying a total of 3,700 due to the change from the accrual to the cash basis. And the extra time they spent on that and the presentations to our board during that transition. Also, I just wanted to point out that pretty much the standard language in the engagement letter is the same. The quote for the 2020 audit is $2,575 to $3,000. And what I've seen across the board, I know that I've just seen other districts of what they've paid, things from DEP that Karen Books had put out, and that's pretty much on the low side. I know that some audits with conservation districts go up to $10,000. So we're still on that low side.
And Brandy, they're the auditing organization that also does the Center County.
That is correct. I believe they have contracted with Center County, and then I also work with the controller's office at Center County. And what we're going to be doing is kind of doing a transition because Center County is on an accrual basis. So we will have to be working with them on the back end of this to transition to an accrual. So I'm working with Travis Walker. He was actually on some of our board meetings last year regarding this accrual and cash issue.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve Baker Tilly to conduct the 2020 audit.
Tom, so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion or questions for Randy? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Moving on to item H, the Dirt and Gravel Low Volume Road, Decker Valley Road Project Edition.
Yeah, we're bringing before the board a proposed addition to the existing contract we have for the Decker Valley Road project. So Chris, if you would present that.
Sure. So for board consideration, we'd be looking to maybe amend the contract. The Decker Valley Road was a 2019 approved project. From the time we went into contract with Potter Township until the work was able to be done, the roadmaster changed. And along the way, there was a little bit of a disconnect as far as the contract and the contractor and the need for the use of prevailing wage. So the amendment that I'm proposing for consideration would be to account for that. And the amount would be for $1,441.28. So that the Dirt and Gravel program does allow contract amendments up to 20% of the original contract amount. The amount I'm requesting the board to consider is about 5.4%. And that would be to cover the prevailing wage expense for the project.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the Decker Valley Road additional amount?
Chris, could I ask if, this is Martin, if all of the dirt and gravel roads projects are prevailing wage? I was unaware of that.
Just the ones that are $25,000 or more, Martin. It's a little bit different than standard construction. I believe prevailing wage comes in $100,000 or more. But that information was conveyed to the previous roadmaster, but it didn't appear to have carried through.
Thank you. Thank you.
Has that changed over time also, Chris? Like in the past few years?
It used to be the Dirt and Gravel program. If as long as the district provided that to the municipality that this project met those $25,000 threshold and that they should be using prevailing wage, the documentation end of things wasn't nearly what it is now. But that changed recently to where we need to provide more documentation and such. And this is recent, so there's a little bit of we're catching up, and in this instance, this is where we'd be looking to catch up with that.
Okay, other questions for Chris? Okay, is there a motion to approve that project addition?
Tom, so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the Decker Valley Road addition for $1,400 change dollars? Say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. We can move on to item I, which is the social media accounts.
Yes, we have a staff proposal to create several social media accounts in the name of the Conservation District. This is something I've been aware of for several years and have been thinking about. I know many other districts in Pennsylvania already have these types of accounts and have for a number of years. It's to get, word out about things that are going on and projects that we're working on and things of that nature. And with our WIP, the stage where we're at with our WIP process, this seemed like an ideal time to move forward with that. So we will need to get permission from the commissioner's office, but I also wanted to present this to the board to get the board's approval as well. Allison has a presentation that she created, kind of outlining all this. So Allison, if you would present that, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim.
Mhm.
My screen.
Yep, looks good.
All right. So this is a social media campaign, and I wanted to outline the benefits of creating a Facebook and Instagram account could hold for the Conservation District, particularly with regards to the WIPCAP process and also other initiatives that the district is moving forward on that would really help us with outreach. So what are the social media platforms that the Conservation District is proposing? We are proposing that we will create a Facebook account and an Instagram account. So many of you might be familiar with Facebook, and Facebook is a social networking where users can share content such as videos, photographs, and articles or text posts with their followers, and just with people who aren't following them. Instagram is a social media networking phone application specifically for phones where users can share videos, photographs, and links to website articles. So what do their platforms look like? For those that do not have their screen sharing capabilities right now, I will provide a copy of this to Brandy so that you can see what these look like if you're not familiar with the Instagram platform. But Instagram is more photo-based. And so on the left-hand side, you can see it's a grid of photos. And within the photos, you can provide the text posts. You can provide links to website and external applications. You can message, people can contact us. You can see that there's stories at the top, which are basically snips of photos. The middle shows videos that you can create on Instagram that can share short clippets up to a minute and a link to external videos as well. You can see that the Chesapeake Bay program, which is the Instagram account I'm showing right now, has Chesapeake Climate, underwater grasses. They have a Chesapeake Climate regenerative farming video, and you can see that their views are pretty substantial. One has 408 views, another has 881 views. And then I just showed another, on the right-hand side, shows photos that other people can tag you in. So if another partner would take a photo and then tag the Conservation District in it, it would also show up on our page for others to view as well. As I said before, many of you probably know what Facebook looks like, but here is what a Facebook platform might look like for the Conservation District. I've shown the Chesapeake Bay program Facebook page as well here so that you can kind of see how they look different between Instagram and Facebook. On the left-hand side kind of shows just, you can learn more about the organization. I would love to link our website back to this page as well. You can see our phone number, website, where we're located. So it would show that we are a part of the Center County government. And then the right-hand side shows kind of an article that was written on the Chesapeake Bay program website that they linked on the Facebook. So Facebook really just provides a great way for people to get more foot traffic onto our website and to learn more about the initiatives, programs, and state and federal regulatory aspects that we work within. So the big question is, do conservation districts utilize these platforms? Is it worth our time to put energy into these resources? And I researched all of the Pennsylvania conservation districts, and yes, 82% utilize social media and have substantial following. So 54 have social media and only 12 do not have social media, and we fall into that category. So why both? Most conservation districts just use Facebook. Why do we need an Instagram account? Well, I worked with planning to ascertain some of the demographics with regards to Center County, and we do have unique demographics due to Penn State University being located within Center County. We have a much larger percentage of individuals aged 18 to 44 than age 45 to 75. And the age 18 to 44 really utilize Instagram more so than Facebook for their regular use of social media accounts, whereas the 45 to 75 group really focuses more on Facebook. So I think it's really key for us to utilize both of these accounts to have the biggest number of outreach. It's particularly, I think, important for an Instagram with regards to our involvement with Envirothon, as those individuals do fall into the younger group and do utilize Instagram more so than Facebook for those kinds of information. Pennsylvania Envirothon also has an Instagram as well that I was just looking at this morning, and they're pretty active on that account. So the four main benefits of why we need social media accounts all boil down to these will ultimately support our conservation efforts. And they are to engage current supporters and partners, increase supporters in conservation efforts, use it as a call to action for community organizing, and provide a venue for fundraising. So the number one is to engage current supporters and partners. Social media platforms are great venues to have meaningful engagement with existing partners and volunteers. And we can use these platforms to share real stories about successful projects and the people that our district has helped in the past and hope to help in the future. So in the bottom left-hand corner there, I have a photo that I shared in last month's presentation with regards to a farm that we recently helped plant fencing and riparian buffers. And so, this could just be a photo that we share and kind of just have a short snippet similar to what is in our newsletter, but just shorter. So people can see this, share this, and engage with the content. And on the bottom right-hand corner, I have a Clearwater Conservancy post where they are saying, come celebrate with us. They're having their 40-year anniversary. And so this is something that we could share on our page as well and say, hey, Clearwater Conservancy is one of our partners. And if you're interested in attending this event, this is how you can do so. So these social media accounts also have the capability to increase our supporters and conservation efforts. Social media platforms are great venues to grow our organization's supporters. And we can do this by following similar accounts such as other conservation districts, as there are 54 other conservation districts that currently utilize these social media accounts, and share their content to garner community support. So I have two images here. On the bottom left is the Chesapeake Bay program, and you can see that the text post associated with it is Ryan Davis, who works for the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay, is checking on trees that were planted for a riparian buffer on an Amish dairy farm in Lancaster County. And so it kind of goes into further detail a little bit more about what tree species were planted and kind of just showcases what a riparian buffer is for those who might not know it. It shows that it was completed with a grant from DCNR. So there's a lot of great information in this small post that I think can really start to turn the wheels in some of our conservation partners and supporters' minds when they see this photo and kind of get interested in wanting to learn more. So social media is also a call to action for community organizing. Social media platforms are really effective tools at mobilizing individuals to volunteer and take part in events. And this will ultimately help us involve the community in our Tier 2 Watershed Implementation Plan, or WIP, and the Center County Action Plan, and advertise for events such as Envirothon. So I have the Chesapeake Bay Foundations, they had a webinar, and then they just had a link to it on their Instagram page on the bottom left. In the middle, the Fulton County Conservation District was advertising for their cover crops and pancakes breakfast. It kind of has all of the details and all the phone numbers, so if people are interested, they can sign up there. And then the Adams County Conservation District has a really nice graphic on who to call when there are pollution concerns in Allegheny County. So this can also help to possibly alleviate some of the phone calls that we receive at the district, because it clearly shows who to call with what specific issues. And lastly, it provides a venue for fundraising, and not fundraising directly through these accounts, but to garner support for our fundraising initiatives that at the district. So they are effective tools to promote fundraising opportunities and to learn about grant opportunities. Pennsylvania DEP exclusively promoted their environmental education grants first on Instagram and Facebook for this round, prior to releasing it on their website, I noticed. So this would kind of give us a head up on looking for RFPs and finding new innovative sources to bring more money to the district. I also just put a random foundation's fundraising event, and it says 7,000 trees sold. So I thought we could even use this to say, hey, we have a tree sale coming up, and to kind of link to that information on our website as well, and to link to external information in our newsletters. Best of all, social media platforms are completely free for individuals and businesses to use. And Pennsylvania DEP provides to conservation districts completely free social media post templates that were pre-vetted by various sources. So this will maximize our outreach while minimizing time devoted to posting, because we can customize these templates to fit our conservation district's needs. I have an example here, and this is specifically for the ENS, but it says, please park our dust. This is what a great start looks like. Hashtag our county started work this week on a major restoration project along Piney Run Creek. When complete, residents will enjoy 10 acres of parkland, and the project will help reduce water pollution and flooding. And the photo is of a bulldozer with a barren ground as they are excavating for this project. And last one that I wanted to share, Jim had forwarded this to Dana and I, and the PACD is currently hosting a CREP incentive, and they're calling farmers who have never enrolled their land in the USDA Conservation Enhancement Program to join a discussion where they will pay farmers $125 for their time to register in this discussion. So I thought this would be another great thing that we can easily share on social media and link back to our website as well. So thank you for listening, and I'm happy to field any questions you may have about these sites.
Thanks, Ally. Questions for Ally related to social media accounts?
Yes, Martin. Martin, you're muted.
You actually just muted yourself, Martin.
Try that.
There you go.
Would we be able to, or I think particularly you, would you be developing this in-house, or is this something we'd hire done, or what?
I would be responsible for creating the posts and maintaining the accounts. I'd be happy to share the login information with any other staff members and board members who are interested in monitoring these accounts and generating posts, but this would be an in-house development.
Okay. You sort of touched on it, but I think that outreach is actually one of the most important functions of this, especially for Instagram, because there's a lot of folks that think that they're environmentalists that really don't know a hell of a lot about the environment. And, to be able to get some good information out there, I think would be an important and powerful tool. And I think also, I know before I became involved, actually, as many years ago, Jim did a erosion control workshop for a group of loggers. Before that, I was largely ignorant of what the conservation was and what it did. And I think in terms of, there are times when we need to talk to our legislators, and there are times when we need, PACD wants us to make a case to our legislators that this is an action that we need to take, whatever it is. It's often the budget. But I think that it also, by raising awareness in the general population of who we are and what we do, I think, again, that that's a very important aspect of this work. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, and I'll second that. I mean, I think I can think of very few negative in terms of having, you know, information out there on those sites. It only makes the public more aware, not only of what we do, but, you know, the programs and our partners, you know, who we're connected to, not just here in Center County, but across the state, whether it's Chesapeake Bay Foundation or, you know, NACD at the national level, you know, things like that. So more information can only be a good thing. The only downside is that it's going to take some staff time to organize and maintain it. But sounds like Ally's pretty adept at these kinds of things. And so I see only really a positive benefit to having this kind of presence. And, you know, the majority of districts throughout the state and probably the country as well are doing the same thing. So other questions for Ally or anyone else? Comments?
Ally, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, do you or Jim know, and maybe this is premature, if the county has a policy on, you know, inappropriate posts? I assume you know how to remove stuff, but all it takes is one clown, you know, to put something negative on there or inappropriate. Sometimes it might be clear what to remove. Other times, you know, it might call into question. You know, like if they just make a negative comment about a site or a farm versus something obscene. And, you know, it's open to argument what's obscene, you know.
Yeah, this is Jim. The county has an existing policy on this that has some pretty specific guidelines that we're going to need to follow. I mentioned before, we need Commissioner's Office approval to create these accounts, and then in maintaining them, there's specific criteria. The issue Mike brings up is one of the concerns. And actually, I think, are required to disable the commenting aspect of this if that's a possibility. And I think that is, am I correct, Ally?
It is.
You can disable comments.
Yes.
So that's obviously an issue, and that's something they're aware of. And I think that's how they address that.
If you said that during the present, I apologize. I missed that. But yeah, that was the only negative I was thinking of. The county might even have filters that pick out certain words and, you know, flag it to, you know, to bring it to your attention or to our attention.
So if the comment function is disabled, then it's really only one directional in terms of us being able to provide content or comments for that matter. Outside viewers can like a particular post, but they can't comment. Is that the gist of it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, and I see in the chat box here, Steve Putt sent me a message that when he was in Elk County at the Conservation District, they used these platforms, and they developed a policy outlining what was appropriate to post. Like I said, the county already has an existing policy that we would need to follow. I think the way it's set up is that any content would need to be approved by the department head before it goes out. And, the county officials would need to have access to the account as well. So I don't know that we need a separate policy just for the district, but maybe something to consider.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to discuss that further today, but let's find out what the county policy is and see how it applies to us. That sounds like a reasonable approach that, internally the staff will have control over the content. And then maybe every couple of months or so, you can give us during a board meeting a quick kind of synopsis, particularly as it's being developed, about what kind of content is there. And hopefully we'll be checking it out on our own as well. Those of us that have accounts, and we can start to build this type of presence. Other questions for Allie or Jim or anyone?
Yeah, like I said, just to reiterate, the county has some pretty specific criteria. So, I looked through it briefly, and of course, we'll go through it in more depth as these accounts are being created.
Okay. Jim, is this an item you wanted a motion to move forward on, or?
If the board's agreeable, I think that would probably be a good idea. And like I said, I'm still in the process of working with the commissioner's office and getting county approval as well. But I wanted the board to be aware of and give their approval in addition.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve moving forward with investigating, generating these media platforms for conservation district? Don't ask me to repeat that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Jim Wall, second.
A second from Jim. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Sounds exciting. Okay, there's nothing else on that issue. We can move on to item J, which is the statement of financial interest forms, an annual task we all have to complete.
Yep, it's that time of year again. All directors and staff, public employees and directors need to fill these forms out for the State Ethics Commission. Staff was given the forms, and Brandy, I think forms were also sent to each board member in their packet.
Yes, I do have a question on this, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm just throwing this out there. So previous years, I do not believe that the associate directors had been sent this information or were required to return this information to us. Do you know if they're part of this process?
My understanding is no, it would just be directors and staff.
Thank you.
And maybe Jackie can clarify that as well. Do you know, Jackie?
I do. Jim is correct. Associate directors are not required to fill out these forms. It is the voting members, the board directors, as well as the staff. So yes, Jim is correct.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify. I don't think we ever addressed that before, and I was just double checking.
Oh, no, good question. Good question.
And it is possible, you were all given a paper form. I think it is possible to file this online. And I was looking into that a little bit. And even if you may do that, but I think even if you do, you still need to print a copy of what you file out and send it into the Conservation District office for us to maintain a paper copy.
Okay, and I've done that in the past. I mean, I find it useful because you can save it, and the next year when you have to do it again, you can go back to your old form and get all the information you may or may not remember. So that's what I plan to do.
Yep, and I looked into that, Rob, and we still need to have a paper copy even if you do it that way. So just print it out and send it into the office. Just as a reminder, you can send it into us in a sealed envelope with a note on the front as to what the contents are, and then we maintain those. We don't open them unless there's a specific inquiry or a need from the Ethics Commission. So you basically need to fill those out. The information is for last calendar year, 2020, and send them to us in a sealed envelope, and we'll maintain them at the office.
And Jim, just to let you know, in the board, there was an envelope that Jolie printed off for me for all the board members. And I'm not sure that we sent one out to Rob Shannon because I know he did his online, but there should be a postage paid envelope in everybody's packet.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
I think those are due in May. My recommendation is, at least for me, do it while you're thinking about it and send it in. Then you won't have to worry about it.
All right. We can move on to item K, I believe, the nutrient management plan approval. I think there's one plan.
Yep, we'll turn that over to Dana for her to present that plan.
Hey everyone. The plan we have, the James Mathis Farm is a CAO or Confined Animal Operation Swine Facility located in Houston Township in the Steel Hollow Run or Bald Eagle Creek watershed. The NMP amendment presented to the board is for crop years 2021 to 2023, so it's a 3-year plan. The plan proposes approximately 120 gestating sows, 24 sows with litters, 200 nursery pigs, 425 finishing pigs, and 6 boars. All manure is collected and exported off-site to several farms. The nutrient management plan review was conducted with Jamie Ulrich from the State Conservation Commission. And I also wanted to thank Tom Bolden for reviewing the plan in the office. I appreciate that, Tom.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Dana, do you know, has the State Conservation Commission acted? You say it's a joint review, CAO. When do they?
I'm sorry, could you?
When do they actually act on it? At their next monthly meeting?
Can you repeat the first part of that, Rob?
Yeah, this is a joint plan review that's also conducted by the State Conservation Commission, or is that just Jamie's work on it?
I think it's just Jamie. I don't think that it's going to be presented to the State Conservation Commission meeting. It was just coordinated with Jamie Ulrich because of the past issues involved in the farm.
Okay. Okay, we have the approval of that plan before us. Is there a motion to approve the nutrient management plan for the Mathis Farm?
Tom, so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second by Mike. Any further questions for Nina? Plan. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the nutrient management plan, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Thanks, Dana. And I believe, Jim, unless there's another new business item, that brings us to the end of business.
It does. I don't have anything additional, Rob.
So we can move on to staff reports. Dana, would you like to go first?
I don't have much to add to my report. I knew this would be a long meeting, so I'd be happy to entertain any questions about our past activities.
Questions for Dana? Okay, hearing none. Chris, anything else to report?
I have no additions to my written report unless anybody had any questions.
Questions for Chris? Hearing none, we can move on to Mike.
I have the same, and I refuse to take questions. I'm sorry, I mean, any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions for Mike? Okay, hearing none. Ally,
Justin still on the phone?
No, Justin had to leave early.
Okay.
So I think he left at 11.
My only addition is that I will be coordinating with Justin to submit the Million Trees application for free trees for landowners this Friday.
thanks, Ally. Any questions for Ally? Dan, we'll give you a pass this month unless there's something you'd like to report.
There's nothing I would like to report, but I look forward to reporting in future months.
All right.
Yeah, I think Dan's going to be on training overload here over the coming weeks.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he's up to the task. Brandy, anything to report?
Nothing in addition, no.
Okay, Julie? Any
No,
update on the squirrels?
I just saw a flock go through and I heard my daughter yell upstairs about it. She counted 15. I don't know what's going on. Migration? I don't know.
Okay.
That'll be something we can post on Allie's new social webpage. But no, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I've covered the entire staff except for you, Jim.
Yes, I do have a couple things I wanted to go over. In general, the county has, I think I mentioned last month, they had some elevated COVID protocols in place, in the months leading up to the holidays, where, they are requiring staff to work remotely if and when possible, and only come into the office, for necessary tasks. They've extended that through the month of January. So, it's the first few weeks was manageable. It's becoming more of a hardship as time goes on. We're doing our best to comply and to still get district business done. So, we're trying to minimize our time in the office, but still allow everybody an opportunity to do what needs to be done. So we're continuing to work on that. I wanted to mention, in addition to Ally's proposal on the social media accounts that we're going to create, we're also going to make an effort to update our website. Some of the information's a little bit dated, and in conjunction with these new accounts, I think there'll be a lot of these posts that will reference back to the web page, and staff is going to make some effort here in the coming months while these accounts are being created to try to update our existing web page information as well. So we'll be working on that. And one last thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention. I received a phone call about a week ago from a farmer in Ferguson Township, and he was working on some things associated with Ferguson Township's stormwater fee ordinance. I think the board has discussed that a few times in the past. If I understand it correctly, they had a public meeting about their ordinance. There was quite a bit of concern raised, and I think they're in the process of revising that and having another public hearing. One of the changes that came about, there was some concern from the agricultural community about the fees that will be implemented on farms in the township. And One of the new things the township is proposing is a credit program for different property owners in the township to be able to reduce the fee that they need to pay. And there's a document that was created that's an addition to the ordinance, but it outlines the credit process to get these fees reduced. That might be backwards there, it looks like. But anyway, for agricultural business operators, there's a couple different ways that they can have their fee reduced. The first one is if they can prove compliance with federal and/or state manure management plans. They need to have current plans in place, approved as appropriate, Center County Conservation. And then secondly, they can implement water quality BMPs. And again, there's a reference to being reviewed by the Conservation District. This farmer basically called us to see if we were aware that we were mentioned in this, and I was not. So I wanted to bring this to the board's attention. My concern with it would be what the impact would be on our workload. But I wasn't able to speak with anybody at the township, so I still don't know what that will be, but I wanted to bring this issue up.
Jim, this is Sally Olsch. I also reviewed the document when you had sent it, and my only question with it was they specifically mentioned riparian buffers had a much more significant credit reduction, and I was wondering if the township had given any consideration to other BMPs for operations that do not have streams through their property, because it didn't seem so.
Well, yeah, that I don't know the answer to that, but the document specifically mentions stream buffer plannings, but it also references other BMPs. So it sounds like they're open to that, but they don't specifically mention anything else.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know that action necessarily needs to be taken, Rob, but I just wanted to, again, bring this to the board's attention.
Yeah, I think it'd be premature to take action. I only saw it yesterday and did not get a chance to digest it all, but it seems like there was also mention of having implemented Ag E&S plans, nutrient management plans, further offsets or credits for buffers, I think up to like 40%, I think, something like that.
Yeah, the document indicates they could get a 15% credit for the plans and 20 to 40% for water quality BMP.
Yeah, I think it's worth sharing with the board if you have an electronic copy that you could send, and then maybe we can discuss it further once we know a little bit more at the February meeting.
Okay, I do have a copy I can send, and it's also available on Ferguson Township's web page. That's
okay.
Here on their main landing page.
Jim, I'm sorry to interrupt, and I had to step away for a moment. Did you mention that there was a public meeting last evening?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
I believe that there was a public meeting last evening at Ferguson Township. I'm not sure how that went, but I think they had, just the general public in to ask questions and things. Maybe that is referenced on their website. I think I maybe had heard it on the news or seen it on their site.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, just an FYI, I think that took
Yep.
place, so.
Okay, that's good to know.
Follow up.
Yep.
Okay, any questions about that for Jim or anyone else?
Yeah, just another comment. My impression is this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it could potentially impact our workload. So that would be the only concern I would have.
Yeah, not only in Ferguson Township, but if other municipalities follow suit and implement something similar, it could significantly impact, maybe not necessarily in a bad way, but it's something we ought to keep an eye on.
Right.
Okay. Jim, anything else? Anything else to report?
I don't think so. Just well, one more thing, a quick note, and Jackie may touch on this here in a few minutes, but Chapter 102 e-permitting that we've been discussing for quite some time is slated to go live on January 25th. We've participated in some trainings that initially will be just for NPDES general permits. Applicants still have the option to submit it via the old paper route as well, which I think is a good thing in case someone would have trouble. But again, we're still on deck to go live the 25th, so we're anticipating that here. That's it then, Rob.
Thanks, Jim. We can move on to cooperating agency reports. Tim Cole, you're up first.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's been a while. Sort of a good segue into what Jim Coslow was mentioning about different workloads. And we're currently, I use the word quarantine, but we're not really quarantined as service foresters, but we cannot go out and work with landowners in person at this particular time. The decision was made through the 15th of this month, and I'm going to assume that that's probably going to be in effect for another month at least, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. I don't know. So in my line of work, this is really difficult to be a forester as far as getting things done in a convenient fashion, working with landowners. So when you try to do one task, you end up doing it twice, once by yourself and then twice with the landowner, maybe 3 times with the cooperating agency. So our office is still basically closed down in Huntington, as are most other offices, Bureau of Forestry offices. We have wood cutting permits, protocols set up, that sort of thing, where you would phone ahead. So if you have any business that you have with the Bureau of Forestry, I would probably call the local district office to discuss the protocols as to what they are. Programs going forward, I know that there's, the Envirothon, basically, from what I understand, as far as field work with the kids, that's been canceled already. I'm sure that there's several other things that have been canceled. Our programs, as far as service forester participation last year, was pretty limited. No Ag Progress Days, no Grange Fair, etc. So I unfortunately think that's going to be close to the same as far as cancellations in 2021 with most of our outreach programs. I guess my concern with what I do as a forester, and Allie and I were on a conversation with Chesapeake Bay and their workload, was just getting things done with riparian buffers and that sort of thing. So with me being quarantined, what I'm concerned about is when this finally does break loose, it's going to be like the ice on the Susquehanna, where it's been backlogged for so long, and working with some of my partners before, I've been limited with time. So that's my concern. So when things do break, there's only so many hours in the day to do things, and I don't want to be the person who holds things up, but I also want to be involved with things. So that's something that I have to deal with. In relation to that also is the funding, at least at the federal level, what's being proposed. I mean, you hear things, $2 trillion for green infrastructure, that sort of thing. So that's a good thing, but it also concerns me that, the cinch pin that I look with riparian buffers, that sort of thing, is the actual plants, trees, shrubs. I think we're behind. I know we're behind, at least in 2025, in cleaning up the bay as far as protocols go. But again, if the plants aren't there to restore the streams, I mean, I view that as an issue going forward. Second thing, try to be a little bit quicker here. I see there are some new faces with NRCS, and I think Scott's going to have some information. I don't know. I don't want to, jump his speech here, but I think he has somebody in place also. So I'm looking forward to meeting all the new people and the different partnerships that we've created over the years. Our Bureau of Forestry winter meeting, and again, I don't really have any updates as far as protocols or anything like that to the Bureau of Forestry. Bureau-wide, our winter meeting is next week, Wednesday and Thursday. But there's been a little bit of progress with the Ag Progress Days new buffer demonstration area. They have mowed it. hopefully we can get some things planted this year. And the last thing, as always is the case this time of the year, the Bureau of Forestry roads are very icy. So you, Martin, just laughed. So again, you know, the hard paved roads have been clear and nice, and a sunny day shows up and we want to go out in the woods. Well, be very careful because, you know, it's not black ice, but once you get stuck, you're back in. So be very careful with that. If there are any questions, that's all I have.
Questions for Tim? Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Scott, I think you're up next.
Okay, thanks, Rob, and good afternoon, everyone. Haven't been able to meet a lot of you in a long time and haven't seen you in a long time, but it's good to be with you here today. Just want to go over several things in my report as well. You know, I promise to keep it very short, but I do want to cover them. In regards to the conservation programs that we do administer, specifically EQIP, we've had 2 sign-up deadlines that have taken place, and staff are currently working on those assessments for those applications that we received, and we'll try to get those ranked by spring to then proceed on to obligating contracts to those landowners. Presently, we're working on roughly 40 for EQIP and CSP, that is. So we have our 3rd round of our sign up that we take applications. It's continuous sign up, but we do take applications through for our 3rd round until February 19th. In regards to our office status of COVID protocols, we too are still locked down, if you will. We're not allowing any of the public landowners, farmers to come in, but we are able to visit and work with farmers, of course, practicing social distancing and all those protocols that need to be. But we're still in a place where farmers can't visit our office. They can drop things off and so on. NRCS is offering a technical training on native plants and pollinators. This will, of course, will be virtual. It'll take place on Thursday, February 18th. If anybody's interested in that, it was in my board report. I know everybody didn't get a copy of my board report, but I'd be more than happy to provide that information on to you. Again, it's technical training on native plants and pollinators that will take place on February 18th. And then some staffing updates. As Tim mentioned, I'd hoped to share with you a name of a soil conservationist that replaced our former position here, but unfortunately that fell through. That individual, actually individuals who we offered it to, have declined. So we're extending it to another applicant that did well in the interview process. And in the event that applicant doesn't accept, we will have to possibly refly that position. But right now we're in a holding pattern to see if this next applicant will accept the offer and agree to that position. So stay tuned on that. And forward on another name, we have a new soil scientist here that started back in August, September. His name is Chris Seitz. He took the place of Mike McDevitt. Mike McDevitt was our soil scientist who helped us out greatly with the Envirothon, specifically the soils station. So in the event there is a virtual soils need or any soils need, by all means, contact Chris Seitz, Jim. I was going to inform Justin or Ali. I will forward that, or Brandy, I'll forward that name on to you and his contact information. He is housed here. His office is here. He's across the hall. But he's agreed to help with any study days or Envirothons that take place in the future, whether virtual or on site. So I know this one is not going to happen this year, but it could, I guess, still up in here about virtual. But
Yeah, I think it will be virtual, Scott. If you could
Okay.
pass this information on to Brandy and myself, that'd be appreciated.
okay, will do. And then in regards to my position, an update on my position. I have accepted a position with my state office, and it is the Assistant State for Programs. So my position will be vacant here at the end of the month. We'll make sure that a name is provided to you as far as who will be acting on this position in this office. But it tentatively looks like the end of the month will be my last time. So I do appreciate all the relationships over the years working with you, the Conservation District. It's been a good time for me. I've really enjoyed it throughout the years. Got to meet many faces that are on this today, and those that I didn't get to work with, I do wish I could have had more time. But I'm not saying farewell, but just I'm going to be looking at things from a state office lens and maybe tuning into meetings, whether they're PACD or other program meetings. But we'll definitely keep you in the loop as things go. And with that, for future contacts, Chris and Jim, in regards to Dirt and Gravel Roads contact, QAB member, I was a part of that. Going to miss working with Chris and Martin, and we did the QAB thing. But do contact Brian Conklin, our engineering tech here. He'll definitely be more than willing and able to fill that gap until it is decided who fills that role. So I guess that's all I wanted to share. If there are other questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them at this time.
Questions for Scott?
Congratulations on the new position, Scott.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll second that, Scott. Congratulations for moving up to the state office. Remember us fondly back here in Center County?
I will. I definitely most will. It's a fond memory, that's for sure.
Good, congratulations. Okay, if there's nothing else for Scott, we can move on to Jackie.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be part of your meeting again today, and wishing you all a happy new year. Our first point on the DEP talking points does reference Growing Greener grants. They have been announced. The state of Pennsylvania has received $34 million to help fund 149 projects throughout the state of Pennsylvania. Of those, 31 county conservation districts across the state were awarded 52 grants to total a little over $10 million. And within our own North Central region, we have been awarded approximately 15 of those projects as well. So we are thankful to all of those who have done Growing Greener grants projects in the past, as well as those who continue to do so in the future. You folks have already gone through the 2021 district director nominations. We welcome all of those reappointed and those that continue to fulfill terms as directors through the conservation districts. Your time and efforts are greatly appreciated. As Jim had mentioned earlier, the 102E permitting system is slated to go live. Tentative date is January 25th. Also, as he stated, there were 2 trainings held January 5th and 6th. Those trainings will be repeated again and available on January 19th and 20th. So anyone who may have missed any information or needs a little repeat, you are as well. Scheduled a training for the regulated community as well. So I believe that is slated for January 21st. That information was just presented in the last few days. So we encourage folks to share that information with the regulated community, with consultants, so that they are able to learn information about using that system as well. Also, as Jim had mentioned, they are allowing for paper permits to be used for a time to help assist with the transition. And I agree with him. I think that's a good thing. This is going to be a big change, and a little bit of transition time will probably be useful for everybody involved. There is a note at the very end of this segment stating that managers do need to register within Greenport, have a Greenport account. In fact, all staff using this system do need to have a Greenport account to be able to utilize the system. Earlier this week, Tiffany Landis sent out an Excel spreadsheet that does need to be filled out, and each staff person does need to be designated with a task or responsibility. And that does need to be sent back to Tiffany by, I believe, January 19th. So if you have any questions about that, or if you need that email resent, please let me know. I'll be happy to make sure that you have the information that you need in reference to Chapter 102 e-permitting. The top of the second page here, Clean Water Academy does continue to add new education, new webinars to its site. A great resource for folks as we work from home to be able to learn new information, continue their education. So Clean Water Academy is a great resource for folks to become familiar with and use. Daniel, I'm sure you will become quite familiar with Clean Water Academy. A lot of the trainings will be posted there, but I do encourage you to reach out to folks at the North Central DEP office with questions as well. You can contact myself. I did recently send you an email, and we can make sure that you are connected to assigned field staff from the Williamsport office to help provide you some support and assistance as you move forward with your education. So I look forward to talking with you in person and moving forward with you through your training process.
Yes, thank you. I've already become quite acquainted with Clean Water Academy.
I have no doubt, yes. So again, feel free to reach out in person if you need anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jackie,
Yes.
Were you finished, Jackie?
I wasn't, but do you have a
Go ahead.
question?
I have a question for you at the end, so go ahead.
Okay, gotcha. Real quickly, we do have some updates for any CAFO permitted farming operations. There's been a slight change. The annual report no longer serves as the notice of intent. Rather, there is a separate notice of intent document, and it was actually due January 1st. Farms were notified of this change via a mailing. In addition, the annual report due date has now changed. It has been extended to February 15th. In addition, the notice of intent installment fee has also been extended to February 15th as well. So just a real quick repeat on that. Notice of intent form was due January 1st. Annual report is extended to a due date of February 15th. The notice of intent installment fee is also extended to February 15th as well. In addition, any CAFOs that want to apply winter manure do need to submit a winter period application of manure notification form. This goes to DEP's Bureau of Clean Water at Central Office. And this form must be submitted within 7 days prior to the anticipated manure application date. The talking points do have a link for that form if anybody needs to use it, or if you need to share that with anyone as well. With the Chesapeake Bay office, there are some updates for reporting, and there are training opportunities to ensure that reporting is done appropriately. Specifically, the Chesapeake Bay 23 form does need to be completed and printed off via Practice Keeper. This does help to provide better reporting for our planning accomplishments, manure management planning, nutrient management, ag E&S, etc. So again, we are requiring that those 23 forms be printed via Practice Keeper. And if training is needed for that, that is available on Clean Water Academy. You can also contact me if there are any questions or concerns in completing that. In addition, There has been an updated standard operating procedure for doing ag inspections and again, incorporating them into Practice Keeper. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of this does relate to making sure that we are provided credit for those countywide action plans, for our watershed implementation plan, for EPA. So if there are any questions related to that, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself. Also, Kate Bresaw is also very supportive and very well educated in answering those questions as well. So just a reminder to utilize Practice Keeper with those ag inspections and the reporting as much as possible. The last 2 points listed on the page do refer to some training and webinars. The first one is offered by the Nature Conservancy and American Farmland Trust, and it concentrates on connecting landowners who rent land out to those farmers and creating a partnership between those relationships. How can they come together to implement BMPs, better understand environmental resource concerns? There was a webinar this past Monday, January 11th. It was recorded if anybody would like to view that. They also have a follow-up interactive workshop to be held February 3rd. And this is encouraged to be viewed by not just conservation or DEP staff, but rather anybody within the farming community. So please, we ask folks to share that information. Finally, another type of webinar we encourage for anyone in the farming community is the All Bay Agriculture Network Forum offered by National Fish and Wildlife. This is normally an invite-only type of workshop. However, it is being held virtual, so it is open to anybody who would like to join. There are 6 topic-specific tracks, and they will start at the beginning of February, held Wednesdays. I think there's one Monday in there. So from February 3rd to March 3rd, an opportunity to learn more with Ag BMPs and the All Bay Ag Network Forum. The other thing I'd like to mention quickly is just that we at DEP, as well as all state employees, are being mandated to work from home until the month of June. Having said that, if you do have an issue where you require some field staff support and assistance, please do contact your assigned field person, make that request, and they in turn can turn around and make that request also at the DEP level to see what they can do to get out there to do any field visits with you. Some field visits have been approved, so please, again, please stay in touch and have that correspondence with your assigned field person. Lastly, I'd just like to say that I thought Allie did a great presentation on the social media aspect, and I think it's a great initiative for the Conservation District to become a part of. I think it has a lot of potential to provide some great outreach opportunities and to really boast about what the Conservation District is doing and accomplishing within Center County. So that's all I really have for today, unless anybody has any questions or comments for me.
Jackie, this is Jim. I have a quick question. In years past, the region office sometimes reassigns field staff to different counties at the beginning of the year. Is that happening, or did they not do that and we still have the same staff assigned to us for this coming year?
Good question, Jim. I'm not aware that any staff have been reassigned here at the beginning of the year. Steve Putt was on the call. It looks like he may not be with us anymore, but I can verify that information, Jim. But again, I'm not aware that there have been any reassignments.
Okay.
So at this point in time, without having any other information, I would just assume that you still have retained that normally assigned field staff.
Okay, yeah, that's how we were going to proceed, but I just thought I'd ask while you're here at the meeting, Jackie. Thank you.
Sure, sure. I guess one other thing I just want to mention quickly is that the Williamsport office is planning a roundtable meeting. We're kind of off our normal schedule, but this has not been a normal year, so bear with me. We are planning an upcoming roundtable meeting for February 18th. So more information will be forthcoming. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate the time.
I assume that'll be a Zoom meeting, Jackie?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
And we're going to hope it goes smoothly, but we all know how this IT stuff works.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for Jackie? Thank you, Jackie, appreciate it. And Steve Putt did send me a chat message saying he had to sign off, and just pass on. I didn't get a chance to respond to him before he signed off, but tell him, thanks for attending today's meeting for as much as he could.
Certainly.
Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. Jim, is there any other items of business?
Yep, just real quick, I wanted to remind everyone that for 2021, we have changed our meeting day. Moving forward, we're going to be meeting the second Wednesday of every month at 7:30 p.m. I think I sent the directors an email a few weeks ago, but I just wanted to send that reminder.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Directors or staff? If not, thank you all for attending. Appreciate it. I know the January meeting is a relatively long one, but there's a lot of important stuff to cover. And if there's nothing else, we will see you the second Wednesday in February. Thanks, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Be safe.
Later.
Thank you. Everybody be safe.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
See you, everybody.